We are expected to fulfill certain roles in our lives. When you focus entirely on these roles and these roles expire at some point of your life, you kind of get lost, right? You don't know what's next. And this is where inner work comes in. We want to go deeper into ourselves and find those new archetypes or these new models and roles that we can take on, but be very careful what we pick up, what we choose. What you carry inside of you is only true and valid and unique to you. With our inner work, we find who that goddess within you is. And then we work with the archetypes to awaken and work with the strengths. You already have it in you. And you just need to learn to work with it and to awaken it. So it's a very personal experience, very personal journey.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even just give us a like. And what that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's conversation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pathways to Wellbeing, presented by Sacred You, a community who are empowering women all over the globe. My name is Helen Prince, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming Vicky, mumpreneur of 15 years, speaker, mentor, and author of Unleash Your Inner Money Goddess. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that I absolutely love, and that is money. And the reason I love it, Vicky, is because a lot of women, and you tell me what your experience is on this. My experience is that a lot of women don't have a very good relationship with money. It's something that we've grown up in that age of money's the root of all evil, and rich people are greedy, and all of this sort of things. And you don't talk about money. It's just something we know that we need. It's the currency of the day. We need it, but we're not allowed to love it or talk about it. So we've got this very complicated relationship with money. Do you find that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I see how women are afraid to even dip their toes in the topic of money. Like they might have a job, they can bring in some salary, or they would be entrepreneurs taking care of their own business. But when it comes to the topic of managing it, let alone investing, we get paralyzed. And there are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of reasons why that is. And yes, our upbringing, our social norms and culture, and all the stories about money that we have grown up to believe in are part of the problem. Another part that I see is that even if you, as a woman in your, I don't know, 20s, 30s, 40s, decide to dig deeper into the topic, you get interested in it, and you start searching for information, then there's just so much available out there as resources to learn from that you get the opposite effect. You get overwhelmed by all this prolific information out there. So it's both. It's the stories that we grow up with, the beliefs, then the overwhelming portion of I don't even know where to begin
Mm.
that completes the picture, and gives us an understanding of why this is as it is. But my hope is, and I'm already seeing this in the world, that more and more we start talking about it with more clarity and more confidence. And I love that. And there's so much to do there.
Absolutely. And I love that you're starting the conversations around money because not only is there the beliefs and the societal things that we have about money, there's also a lot of shame and there's guilt and there's jealousy and there's it's such a complex topic. And when we have all of that going on, how does that then play out in our reality? If we've got these beliefs and we've got all of these other emotions that are not great about money, how does that then play out?
So there are two ways that we can go about it. So one is that because of the financial industry speaking this complicated language that we don't have a dictionary for, and we feel so confused, we don't quite hear like the practical side of it. What we hear is, as you said, the shaming, especially when it comes to messaging directed to women. Like we hear all the time that we should cut our spending. We are the spenders in the world, and we like to indulge in like stuff that's not really practical just because it's beautiful and we feel great having it. But there's this kind of shaming. That's not the way to do it because that's not the way men do it in the
Mm,
financial world. And the financial world has evolved and developed around this masculine energy with this aggressive approach to generating money, investing, and with the sole purpose of having more, hoarding it, and earning more, which is okay, but that's just one part of the whole energy of money. There is a whole other part of it where we as women and with our feminine energy come in to manage it, to nurture, to use it to take care of our families, of ourselves, of our society, because there's a lot of research that shows that when women make more money and they spend more or less, they spend it in a way that benefits not only themselves, but their close surroundings and their entire community. So it's a really different energy of the making of money, but then managing it and nurturing it. And the financial industry and all its messaging is focused entirely on the first portion. So they ignore the feminine powers and the feminine approach to handling these finances. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes from. And that's a lot of where that kind of messaging that pushes women away from the whole topic comes from.
yeah. Instead of feeling guilty for going and have a massage, you're supporting a small business. And then that business owner is then able to put food on the table. There's such a different way to look at it. And I love that you're bringing this topic to light. I was talking to a lady today, actually, and she's in her mid 50s. And basically, she has to start again. Her businesses, she's separated in a 35-year marriage, and her businesses have gone bust. And so she's finding herself in the second part of her life where she should be enjoying her life, having to start from scratch and extremely stressed and not knowing how she's going to go from day to day. And this is the reality of women as well. We not only have a lower income, but if we do take time out to look after children, which we're expected to do and not have a job, but then we're expected to also not just be at home, we're expected to bring money in. There's all these things that interrupt. And then if you are the stay at home mum looking after the family and the kids are 20 and have left, and then you are older in life, and then all of a sudden the marriage dissolves. It's what happens to these women. So I love that you are in this space. So tell me more about, because the whole energy side of things, I really love that too. Tell me more about how getting the internal stuff sorted out, then how does that ripple out into the external?
Yeah. So let's start with the roles and the expectations that you mentioned. We are expected to fulfill certain roles in our lives, and most of them come naturally to us, right? We embody the mother, the nurturer, the homemaker, and all of that to most women. I'll underline that. To most
Yes.
women, it comes naturally because it's part of the archetypal blueprint that each of us carries at our birth. It's part of the inherited collective unconscious that Carl,
And we need it to keep the human race going.
yes, it's encoded. It's something you are born with. But
Mm.
when you focus entirely on these roles and these roles expire at some point of your life, you get lost, right? You don't know what's next. And this is where inner work comes in. We want to go deeper into ourselves and find those new archetypes or these new models and roles that we can take on, but be very careful what we pick up, what we choose, because in many cases, we would just either go with what we're used to, like the roles that we're used to, but then get completely lost. We don't know what to do next, but then keep carrying on that role, even though it doesn't work for us anymore. Or we can dig deeper, find these new roles, beliefs, concepts, archetypes. They are within us. We just need to learn to awaken them and work with them so that you can build either your next stage in life or build from scratch if that's the case. But these concepts, these stories, new empowering stories, can be very helpful in figuring out your new identity, like reimagining yourself, stepping into a new version of yourself that's more clear, empowered, confident. You know what you need to do to get to the goal that you have set for yourself.
So, who is your typical client? What is she struggling with? When does she come to you? And how does that look when she does come to you? How does it look for her to work with you?
So my typical clients are women in their 30s to 50s, like beginning 50s. And when they come to me, they pretty much are overwhelmed and confused about the whole money thing, the whole money world. They know that they need to do something, but they either don't know where to start, they're just overwhelmed with the that much information in the online space, or they have come to a point where they need to look at money in a different way. Like they might have gone through a divorce, or the kids are growing up, leaving home. They need to find their new you that they can step into and then start managing money. Like some of the women that I work with already have some investments like real estate or some kind of insurance that is also investing and earning them some money, but they lack the holistic picture, the holistic way of approaching their whole relationship with money to start with, explore their personal money story so that they know what their next goal is and lay the map to how to get there in an empowered way that makes them feel confident, makes them feel the trust in themselves to complete that journey.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important. You've got to do that inner work. It's
Oh
just
yeah.
everything starts from there. And so, if they don't have any investments and would like to, do you help them in that regard as well?
Yeah. So the program that I have for my clients starts with the mindset. Okay. It starts with exploring the archetypes, finding that inner money goddess, as I call her, within you, setting the goals, and then I show them practically how to get there with experts backed financial tips, strategies, and planning up to a point where they feel confident that they can actually invest in world markets on their own. Because
Yeah.
my goal is to have them see that they have everything they need to manage their money and invest on their own. Because a lot of the women that I have spoken with, they say, okay, I know how to make money, but when it comes to investing, I'd rather leave it to the experts because I don't know anything about it. I'm scared. It's too much of a risk for me to handle, or I'm not good at it. And I want to show them that they have everything that they need to do it by themselves, even if it's just a very small amount to start with, just test the waters, just to see that they can do it. And that's how I started. That's how I did it. Nobody taught me. I taught myself. I read the books, I took the courses, I went through the programs, I educated myself, and I started doing it myself. If I can do it in Eastern Europe, Bulgaria, growing up in a post-communist country that only got access to international financial markets in the 90s. So that's pretty late. We are pretty late to the party. But if I can do it, I'm absolutely certain that any other woman can as well.
I love that you've got that much experience, real world experience behind you as well. Because this is, like you were saying, we want to do it, but then there's so much information. Where do you start? Who do you trust? What's going to work? What's not going to work? So to be able to come to someone who has done that hard work and then can guide us in the right direction and just give us a starting point. And I love that you're teaching them how to do it for themselves, because at the end of the day, that's true empowerment. We all need help from time to time. That's fine, but you don't want to have the help being a crutch. It needs to be something that you are able to do. And I love that you're teaching them as well along the way. So, can I ask, what does a money goddess look like? Someone who is unleashed their money goddess. What is she doing? What is she feeling? What does that actually look like?
That's the beauty of working with your inner money goddess because it's unique for each and every woman. Like I can show you some archetypes like the ones that I discuss in my book, but then it's really up to the individual to look into herself, find her own strengths, recognize, well, okay, these strengths, they match this specific archetype, but then there are portions of you that match a different archetype. So it's really a very unique, non-duplicable blend of different archetypal personalities that you are. So that's what I love most about it. While you have, specific goddesses that we can refer to, what you carry inside of you is only true and valid and unique to you. So with our inner work, we find who that goddess within you is. And then we work with the archetypes to awaken and work with the strengths and learn how to avoid the shadow side, how not to get too far with a specific archetype because each archetype has its light and its dark side, and
Yeah.
learning to get the best out of it and avoid the dark ones is really helpful, and it can teach you how to make that money goddess for yourself.
I love it. I love it because we are all very unique and individual. Even if
Yeah.
we have similar interests or brings or everything can be very similar, but at the end of the day, there's so many things that come into it. We are so unique. And I love that you're working with the person and unveiling their beautiful uniqueness. That's fantastic. And so, how long does it take to unleash your money goddess?
It can take just like a few hours of just learning the concept and doing the inner work on your own, if that's the way you want to do it. Or it can take up to 8 weeks. Like that's how long my personal program is, because we work with different modules. We go through 2 weeks of inner work, then we step into revealing the financial reality so that we can then work about with saving and investing and all of that. So it can take either 8 weeks, or it just take a snap to realize, just to see that you already have it in you, and you just need to learn to work with it and to awaken it. So it's a very personal experience, very personal journey. It doesn't have a set timeline that I can share, because it's so different for everyone.
Yeah, but your program works on unleashing, and then it has the practical steps as well to
Yeah.
help them to get comfortable with, like you said, managing money, investing money, budgeting, that horrid B word that we all avoid because we don't like to do it. It's like the reality of, oh my gosh, do I really spend my money on all these things?
That's a misconception that I want to break down, because when we
Yeah,
hear about budgeting, we think of all these limitations and restrictions, like you need to have this specific set amount for groceries, for transport, for your housing, and you can't go over the limits. So it feels so contracting to us. It's very limiting. And the way I see budgeting is very different. What I want to teach women, that what's important is to take a portion of your income, whatever it is, and whatever that portion feels good for you, and set it aside before you start spending, and then just spend the rest of it the way you want, so that you don't feel that restriction and feel that I don't want to do budgeting, right? I don't want to set limits to my spending. But there's just a different way, and it's so easy to implement if you just know about it.
exactly. You just have to know all these things, and we don't know what we don't know. So, coming to someone like you who knows all of these little tips and ways to reframe things and ways to not feel like you're being told that you're not allowed to spend your money where you want to spend your money, because that doesn't feel good. So why am I even working if I'm not allowed to go and have a coffee? Yeah, so that's a fantastic, that tip in itself is just fantastic as well. So just to have some money that you're allowed to spend on whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. You are
Yeah,
allowed to spend whatever is left after you have taken care of your future self. That's what I want
yeah,
to emphasize on, because right now, especially if you are in your 20s or 30s, retirement and golden years seem like so far away, and you're like, yeah, I'll deal with it later. But the sooner you start taking care of her, and
mm,
her being you in just a few years,
yeah,
the more confident and secure and safe you will feel when you get to that point. And we will get to that point sooner or later.
yeah,
But setting aside that sum early on frees you to do whatever you want with the rest of the income that you bring in. If you want to go have a massage, a spa treatment, buy a new dress or a beautiful pair of shoes, or whatever it is, but it just removes that limiting, that restriction in your mind, that you have to keep yourself within those frames and borders and the box that your budget is putting you in.
yeah. And look, we do that, and I've taught my kids to do that as well. Right now, they don't have expenses because they're still teenagers, but put a little bit of money aside to cover all of your bills, your food, your car insurance, all of that sort of stuff. Put a bit aside where it is just savings, and then have a little bit aside where it is, we call it our splurge money. So if you feel like spending it on something, go ahead and spend it. No guilt, no, oh my gosh, am I going to have enough if I, none of that. It's just, you know, that money is there. And if I feel like buying that ridiculously expensive pair of shoes, I can because I've got that money there. And
Yeah.
it's such a nice feeling. It's an empowering feeling, which,
Yeah.
yeah, not that whole, oh my gosh, I really want it, but I'm not allowed sort of thing. Yeah.
It gives you the feeling that you have the reins. You are
Yeah.
holding the power and you just get to decide what to do with it. You know what it's for because you said that's what it's for, and then you get to do whatever you want with it. That's very empowering.
Fantastic. Absolutely. But you got to start with that inner stuff. It's all that head chatter and all the beliefs that we've grown up with, the throwaway comments that we hear as kids, we can't afford it, and all of that sort of stuff. So, work on that first is absolutely a must. And so, if you're watching this and you know that you've got your money stories that are going on, and if you don't feel good about money, then
Mm.
you definitely have money stories going on, even if you don't know what they are. So
Yeah.
just go by that feeling. And this is where they can reach out to someone like you, Vicky, and get some help and turn it around. And like you said, the sooner you do that, the better, because you've got more years ahead of you. You don't want to be in the position where, you know, you're 50, 60, and then finding that you don't have what you thought you were going to have. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, the earlier you start, the more time you have for interest to compound and your
Yeah.
money to make more money for you instead of you going through the whole of your life and just working to meet the expenses and just maintain the life that you're used to, and finding out that at 60 something or 70, you still need to work
Mm.
because you haven't taught your money to make money for you.
So, what would you say to anyone who is maybe in their 50s or 60s or even older who aren't where they want to be with their money? What advice would you give them?
Especially for women in their 50s, I would say they still have a lot of time. Like 10 to 15 years, you can still reach the goal that you have. And especially if you have kids, but they have already left the house, they have a life on their own, and all the money that you used to spend on growing them up and nurturing them. And we know that growing up kids is quite expensive these days. So a huge portion of our money goes there. But now you have that money available. So
Mm.
you don't spend it anymore on the kids. So take that, invest it wisely in something, in a vehicle that's low risk, because at this age you don't want to go all in stocks and the riskier type of investment, but learn the vehicles that will be low risk, low cost, and that you can count on being sustainable and bringing you an interest that's around 8 to 10% per year. And you still have 10, 15 years for that money to compound. So there's always a way to work with your financial planning to, make things work. If you are later, like in your 70s, then maybe it's a different approach. Maybe it's more about saving, or maybe even starting your own business in your 70s. Why not? To bring in some more cash. They're really different approaches depending on your personality, your worldview, like how you see life. It's very individual. That's why with financial planning, you always take the person first, right? You need to get to know that person to see what's valuable, what's meaningful to them, and then put the budget and the planning together to meet those values. Because if we just follow traditional financial advice, we do this strategy, then we switch, we see this financial guru talk about something else, we go there, we try that, but we never stop to think if what we're doing actually reflects our values and reflects gives us meaning in what we do. And I think that's very important as well. That's also something that we examine with my clients. I want to know what it is that lights you up, what lifts you up, and then work with your money to bring more of it and make those investments in a way that will reflect what you believe in.
Absolutely. It's really important to women. It has to be
Yeah.
aligned. It has to feel good. Yeah, definitely has to be aligned though.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Vicky. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to leave the audience with before we wrap it up?
I just want to remind women that they have all these goddesses archetypes in them. And I want to invite them just to close their eyes and sit with it for a minute, dig into what comes up, and figure out who your true, unique money goddess is, because that's where it all starts. And it's available to all of us. It's within each and every one of us.
I love that. It's a great reminder. It is available to all of us. We just need to make the decision to do something and don't think that it is too late. It's never too late. There's always something that can be done, and it might just be a little bit different to what other people are doing. And that's okay, because, like you were saying before, it has to align with what we like as well. So
Yes.
fantastic. So if anyone is watching this and you don't have a wonderful relationship with money, if money makes you cringe or feel a little bit icky, or it's something, the topic you avoid, you have got money stories, my darling, and you don't have to have those money stories any longer. So reach out to Vicky. She will be able to help you unleash that money goddess and turn things around and just see where you can go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank you for having me, Helen. It's been a real pleasure.
Vicky's thoughts on today's podcast are a heartfelt reminder to us all and truly encapsulate the essence of the conversation. Just sit with it, dig into what comes up, and figure out who your true, unique money goddess is, because that's where it all starts. If today's discussion sparks something in you, take it as a sign to tune inward and reconnect with your financial power. Explore Vicky's work further by visiting her website. Be sure to check out her book, Unleash Your Inner Money Goddess, as well as her 8-week transformational program that blends mindset, practical investing tools, and archetype exploration. Find all the details in the links below. And at Sacred You, we are committed to creating a space where women from all over the world can support, uplift, and empower each other. Visit our website to explore upcoming workshops, events, and community offerings. Check us out at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love. And as always, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. We would love to hear your thoughts. As Victoria shared, transforming your relationship with money begins with healing your beliefs, uncovering your inner archetypes, and choosing empowerment over fear. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep walking your pathway to well-being from our heart to yours. Thank you.